Know thyself. Black font, white background. It looks important, right? It's even in King James 16th century English, so it must be authoritative. You can almost hear God saying, Kevin, know thyself. But what does it really mean? That's going to be the focus of my talk today, but first of all, I'd like to share a personal experience, and it involves this object. Some of you may know this. This is a dips and pull-up apparatus, but it has deep meaning for me, and I'm going to share why. In February of 2021, I was living in the Philippines, working remotely for the site of our TEDx Today, Synarmos World Academy. It was at the height of the pandemic. I was under lockdown, and I have to say, I was a little bit concerned. You see, as I looked in the mirror, I knew that the incidence of mortality from COVID was much greater if someone was overweight. I was 103 kilograms at 178 centimeters, and I knew that that was overweight, if not obese, at the time. And it concerned me. I needed some advice, so I turned to a mentor that I have, whom I've turned to on numerous occasions, and he's my friend Marcus. Marcus said, Kevin, you remember that exercise, that mind experiment that we did a few months ago? I said, yeah, but it was kind of traumatic. He said, I want you to do it again, but I want you to do it better this time. He said, Kevin, I want you to visualize your own death. He said, I don't want you just to think about it. I mean, we all think about mortality at certain points. He said, I want you to feel it, to smell it, to taste it, employ all of your senses to recognize your own death. I saw myself in a hospital room in Manila. I heard the ventilator. I couldn't speak because I was intubated. I saw the nurses in their protective garb outside of the tent where I was kept. I heard the murmurs of my family whispering, probably talking about me. I saw my own death. I felt it. And you can tell this is still, even as I recount it, it's an emotional experience for me. I thought about the consequences of my death, what it would mean to those around me. And again, I was concerned. I looked at myself, said, Kevin, look, you need to make some changes. And I made a decision. I bought the apparatus that you see behind me. Thankfully, delivery was still going on at that time. And I started doing the dips. I started doing the pull-ups. I did burpees. I did push-ups. I did whatever cardio that I could. And while a lot of people gained weight during COVID, I lost it. But I found myself. In addition to that, I adopted dietary changes. I went on the carnivore diet for 2 months. Any of you who have tried that know it's difficult to stick with it. After a couple months, I said, I can't sustain this, so I'm going to go to a modified keto diet. And I did. Intermittent fasting was included. Fast forward to July of 2021, 5 months later. I had lost 20 kilograms. I was sitting on 23, actually. I was sitting on 80 kilograms where I have stayed today. And you might guess that it was at that point that knock, 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 COVID arrived. And I'm not here to tell you that I didn't get sick, because I did. This was the Delta variant. And any of you that may have had it, or those around you, know that, it was not pleasant. I was sick, quite sick, for 6 days. High fever, these piercing headaches. But on day 6, I started to feel better, and I had a full recovery. Now, why do I share all this? Well, it's based on what my friend Marcus had talked to me about, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about him. Oftentimes, we see these surveys where they ask you to pick the person that you would most like to have dinner with. Could be somebody from history, somebody famous, somebody infamous. But you need to pick this person, and you'd have a great dinner, great conversation, great questions, and you'd learn a lot. Well, for me, it would be with my friend Marcus. I mean, we talk every day. Sometimes we disagree, but we always seem to find some resolution. And you might say, well, Kevin, if Marcus is your friend and you communicate daily, just ask the guy to dinner. But you may have intuited by now that Marcus is no longer on our planet. In fact, he died almost 2,000 years ago. So how do I communicate with him? Well, Marcus was good enough to record his thoughts in a journal. That journal is compiled in a work called The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. Marcus was a Stoic, and here we circle back around to know thyself, this time in Greek. This was at the entrance to the oracle at Delphi. It was a signpost to get to know who you are at a deep internal level. And this is what Stoicism does. This is a philosophy that goes back over 2,000 years ago. And even though Socrates lived about 100 years before Stoicism started, he was always saying, know thyself. And you might think, okay, we're talking ancient Greece, we're talking Stoic philosophy, yawn. But no, you may not know it, but Stoicism is hot. If you've heard of the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Hoot by Mark Manson, or The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or even The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, in these books are embedded the ideas of Stoicism. Stoicism has had a great renaissance. It is a philosophy of action. Now, I'm a philosophy guy. A lot of it is theoretical. I would say most of it is theoretical. But in terms of Stoicism, it is a call to action. And that's what I did in February 2021. But I had to consult the great and powerful ChatGPT to find out what it thought of this question. Oh, great and powerful ChatGPT, please tell me, as a human, what I need to do to discover myself. And you see by the response here, and I didn't even include the whole response, it went 5 numbers down there. You can see it's a pretty good answer as far as it goes, but it's on a screen or it's on paper. It's not brought to life through action. And again, this is what the Stoics taught us to do. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And it may sound like a strong statement, but I think there's a lot of truth in that. To the extent that we just kind of float through life and don't try to self-improve, don't really look at ourselves carefully, I think we're missing the point of life. What is it to know thyself? To know what your passions are, what drives you, what motivates you, what are your weaknesses, what are your warts, what keeps you from succeeding. It's not only looking at yourself in the mirror, as I did in February 2021, but putting that mirror on the inside of yourself. What am I like in here? And the Stoics were masters at doing this. Principle 1, focus on what you control. Stephen R. Covey, again, someone who has repackaged Stoicism, said that we have 2 circles. One is our circle of influence, the other is the circle of concern. Now, we're concerned with many things. I was concerned with COVID, but I don't have a direct impact on COVID. I can't say COVID, stop. I'm concerned with poverty. Can I do things about that? Yes, but I don't have a direct impact on the global issue of poverty. And we could name any other range of issues that I'm concerned about, but I don't have a direct impact on. What I do have a direct impact on is my body, my attitudes, my thoughts, my words, my actions, how I interact with other people, what I do between stimulus and response. And so I think the Stoics were onto something here when they said, look, focus on what you can do, and then that circle of influence, what happens? It starts expanding slowly until you do have an impact on items that were of concern earlier, but now you can influence. So rule 1, focus on what you control. You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, my friend Marcus said. And truer words were never said. 2, embrace discomfort. You know, in the gym culture, you often hear, hey dude, no pain, no gain. You hear this. And that's true as far as it goes, but I think it goes further than that. We not only have to accept the pain, we need to give it a big old bear hug and kiss. Embrace it. And this might sound very strange to you, and it's not that we should go looking for pain. It will find you, I assure you. We don't need to go looking for it, but when it comes, we know it. We have seen it before, we recognize it, we know it is a catalyst for our growth. And so in that way, we need to embrace it. Depression, oh, I've seen you before. Thank you for coming again. What are you trying to teach me? I'm in the gym, trying to get that last one up. I know this pain, and I know what it's going to bring me if I come through on the other side. So embracing discomfort, a true principle of the Stoics. Finally, practicing self-reflection. Many ways to do this. Again, going back to the 7 habits, Covey suggests having a weekly inventory based on your mission. He talks about roles and goals: father, uncle, friend, community member. I have 1 or 2 goals each week, and I have a weekly inventory on whatever day of the week you want to assess how you've done during that week. One thing that I find useful is mindfulness. We hear a lot about this these days. But for me, I practice it all the time. When I'm getting out and getting ready for my work day and leaving my apartment, I always go in the elevator. I'm on the 19th floor, got to go down to the bottom. And one thing that I do every day, every time I step in that elevator, unless I'm in conversation with somebody, staring straight ahead and just listening to the sound of the elevator. And it's telling me, Kevin, slow down. My mind races. I'm thinking, all these things I need to do at the beginning of the day, this centers me. And it continues on to when I get to here at school. I'm carrying a cup of coffee, I've got my bag, I've got my umbrella. Coffee down. I hear the sound of the coffee hitting the table. Walk over, bag down. Unzip my backpack. Pull out my computer. Plug in my computer. Go back over to the coffee. An Americano. I get that coffee, take off the sleeve, open the straw, put it in, walk back over, sit down. What is the next best thing I can do? This keeps my mind from racing. And I have to repeat this often throughout the day. So meditate, or I should say mindfulness, and if you want to extend that to meditation, can be very powerful for your self-reflection, and it was to the Stoics. So to summarize, I think they had it right. It's worked in my life, that's for sure, and it's worked in the life of millions of people throughout history. Focus on what you can control. Embrace that discomfort. Don't run from it. And finally, practice self-reflection. Our friends, the Stoics, These were wise people. We see what they taught repeated, and I think that to the extent that you can follow these principles, you too can progress in your life, and maybe, just maybe, it might save your life. Thank you.